Ready when you are.
Okay. Good evening. We will call this meeting to order of the Sacramento City Council. Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you. Councilmember Kaplan. Here. Councilmember Dickinson. Here. Mayor Pro Tem Talamantes. Here. Councilmember Pluckybaum. Here. Vice Mayor Maple. Here. Councilmember Gatta. Here. Councilmember Jennings. Here. Councilmember Vang. I'm here. And Mayor McCarty.
Here. Thank you. We'll begin tonight's meeting with the land acknowledgement from Councilmember Pluckybaum.
Right. To the original people of this land, the Nisenan people, the Southern Maidu, Valley and Plains, Miwok, Patwin, Wintu peoples, and the people of the Wilton Rancheria, Sacramento's only federally recognized tribe. May we acknowledge and honor the Native people who came before us and still walk beside us today on these ancestral lands by choosing to gather today in the active practice of acknowledgement and appreciation for Sacramento's indigenous people's history, contributions, and lives. Thank you.
Thank you. While we're still standing, Councilmember Dickinson, please lead us in the pledge.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
handled that so well, I'm thinking about going home.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Please call item number 1.
Thank you, Mayor. Item number 1 is approval of an amendment to the city manager's employment agreement.
Thank you. Staff, please proceed.
Hi, Shelley Robinson, your Human Resources Director. As you know, we're before you with our recommendation to approve an amendment to the employment agreement for the city manager for an extension through December 31st, 2025. Okay. Any questions?
Thank you. No questions? Public comment? Yes, we'll go to public comment on this item before we get to council members' questions and comments on this item. So please call the list this evening.
Thank you, Mayor. And I do have quite a few speakers, so feel free to line up in the aisle. The first speaker is Michael Alt, Karen Corbs, Lambert, Christina Rogers, then Clay or Clayton.
Good evening, Mayor, members of City Council, Michael Alt. It was exciting to be here last Tuesday when we welcomed a new wave of leadership into the city of Sacramento. And I think as we welcome a new mayor and council, we must also acknowledge the broader political landscape at play, including the impending changes at the federal level that will come on January 20th. These shifts will undoubtedly influence our local governance, funding, including significant impact to California budgets. In the face of these uncertainties, it's crucial, we feel, to embrace stability within our city organization. Extending the city manager's contract is a strategic decision that gives us the stability we need as we transition. It helps us in our ongoing projects and ensures we're responding to new challenges in a cohesive way. This is a moment for Sacramento to demonstrate what thoughtful, intentional leadership looks like. It's not just about the policies that we pass, but about how we manage the city, how we plan, how we execute, and how we adapt as an organization. We want to thank Howard for his leadership and partnership. Under his guidance, we have seen our city and downtown make significant strides, and we hope to see his continued support in advancing our city forward. Change is inevitable, and we can choose how we navigate it. No matter what, we will move forward with this entire council together. We firmly believe that Howard is the best person for this job and that the city is better off with him at the helm. We urge you to prioritize Sacramento's long-term success by supporting this renewal. Thank you.
Karen Corbs.
Good evening. I fully support City Manager Howard Chan and believe it is crucial to extend his contract. Howard serves in one of the most challenging city management roles in the country, navigating the highly political landscape of Sacramento. Despite facing significant opposition from members of the community advocating for policies such as defunding the police, Howard has consistently championed public safety. Under Howard Chan's leadership, the city has made strides of balancing complex issues while maintaining essential services, all amidst a volatile political environment. The challenges he faces daily, from managing divergent political interests to implementing policies that serve the greater good, cannot be overstated. A decision not to extend his contract would create an unnecessary instability and disruption at a time when strong, effective leadership is critical. Howard has demonstrated unwavering commitment to our city's well-being, and we cannot afford to lose his expertise. I urge you to do the right thing and extend his contract for the continued prosperity and safety of Sacramento. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Lambert.
Yes, Lambert Davis, a native of Sacramento. I've studied Howard Chan, and I personally do not think he should get an extension, and this is why. In the discussion here on your agenda, it says an oral presentation. I haven't heard an oral presentation. That was something from Human Resources. What I would like to see, I've never seen a person get a raise or an amendment without speaking to the public. I think the city manager should have to speak to the rostrum and the people who can fire him with a 2/3 vote. He needs to speak to the public. I think he should come down here and use this technology to tell us exactly why he should get an extension. Now, I can confirm why. Now, this doesn't work anymore. I think that's a freedom of speech thing. You need to correct that. This overhead projector, I can fix that myself. Now, this is a memorandum, and since I can't show it here, I'll show it to the crowd. This is a memo that was sent out on my family. It was sent to Mayor Steinberg and the city council, but it wasn't sent to me. I'm the one that filled out the paperwork, not the mayor, not the city council. And everything on here is slanderous, very cruel to my family. And also, in the city manager's office, there was a $100,000 contract given to Wide Open Walls, and they didn't have any, no written agreement, nothing. And here I am, submitted all this paperwork and only got $4,000. And I asked, when I found this out, can I get in that line and get a no written agreement, or is it just for whites only?
Christina Rogers. Following Christina is Clay, and then Dustin Smith.
Hi, first of all, I'd like to say congratulations to our new city council. Okay, so you have to move us forward while the city's in debt. And that will mean saying no to things you really want to do but don't have the funds for. It means focusing on your core financial duties as city council by funding our city parks, maintenance, public safety, or streets. These are your foundational duties and keep a city going. Please extend Howard Chan's contract. You need him right now. He's served the city well, even at the expense of his own family's safety, because he's been the financial gatekeeper for some really bad ideas, being pushed by those with personal agendas who have no concern how it would impact the city and quality of life of others. I know you will prove to us tonight how you will lead, be wise, be thoughtful, be practical, and consistent. Please extend Howard Chan's contract and put Sacramento on the right path as of tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Clay. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Clay Buchanan. I'm the Vice President for the Sacramento City Exempt Employees Association. I would first like to congratulate the new mayor, the new council members, and the re-elected council members. We are excited for the future of Sacramento. Our association represents over 850 exempt employees throughout the city. We are not centric to one department, but we have members who work in every department of the city. You recently received a letter endorsed by SPOA, Local 522, and SCAB. These three associations represent nearly 1/2 of all city employees. The letter addresses our concern about stability in the city manager position and the support of extending city manager Chan's contract. I would like to point out that it is uncommon that you see the alignment of management and line level associations. The concern is for our members who work tirelessly every day to make our city function. Sacramento is fortunate to have an immense amount of talent in its workforce. I'm afraid we will lose that talent without stability in the top management position. That is why we support extending City Manager Chan's contract. City Manager Chan has proven to be a firm but fair leader that is consistent and experienced. We believe that this extension will provide stability for our employees, our business partners, our residents, and the overall well-being of our city. The budget season is upon us, and we are all aware that we will be facing some difficult challenges this year. We need to ensure that we have an experienced city manager that understands the city's budget process and who works collaboratively with its workforce. We ask you to consider the recommendation from the labor leaders that represent approximately half the city's workforce to pass a vote on extending City Manager Chan's contract tonight. This will relieve anxiety in the workplace and amongst our members. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Next speaker is Dustin Smith.
I
John
believe he's at
Frias.
this time.
Pardon me?
They
You're
spoke as
good?
one.
Thank you. John Frias Morales. Following John is Jeffrey Tardiglia.
I support Howard Chan because he helped clear the homeless camps near my home in East Sacramento. Howard saw a need for the city to comply with Measure O. Howard set up the homeless dashboard for Measure O, and this year his team closed 36,000 tickets for 311. Last year, Highway Business 80 underpasses from Planned Parenthood to the Natural Foods Co-op were full of homeless. At Stanford Park, the girls' coach even stopped the soccer game to pick up needles. But my former council member was against the homeless sweeps. The former council member even called us toxic NIMBY constituents. Howard's Measure O data is promising, but only 5% of the homeless accept shelter. Most are service resistant. In my neighborhood last year, DCR cleared 143 homeless camps and picked up 813 needles. Every night, addicts would come into McKinley Village to steal packages and break car windows. This year, the city found 58,000 drug needles at homeless camps around the city. Now the coroner is reporting 1,100 fentanyl deaths and 1,200 homeless deaths. If the city can't fix the homeless, return my property taxes just like Prop 312 in Arizona. We can't wait. Our future is on the line. Every day, wherever you go, we see the results of crime, blight, and homelessness. Rather than be helpless, we can work together with the city manager and make decisions now to make Sacramento a better place to live and work. Let's listen to each other now. Let's solve problems now. Let's have a better Sacramento now. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Thank you. I have about 28 speakers. Our next is Jeffrey Tardiglia, then John Vinosky, then James Allison.
If they're
Kevin, old council, new council. I will say for the old council, why it took so long to address this issue. I think that's a failure. New council, I will say to you is we still haven't seen what says on here, a closed session report. I was disappointed at last meeting when you, just because of this, you stopped and you did not hold public comment. I do not know and hope that someone on the council will address is why there wasn't more discussion about what happens in the future and when the last time a performance evaluation was performed on, shall we say, the city manager. This reminds me of some 30 years ago, what we'll call Balderdash, when Inglewood had, shall we say, a manager that was the highest paid in the state. So Kevin, half of your community is not supporting you. Please do a better job of making sure the public is informed of issues at hand. This should have had something more brought back as a report about, one, where is Chen at right now? What hasn't happened under his leadership? And what his accomplishments were? And for the future, What is the assessment of what needs to happen for the next manager or the manager in training? What is going on? Thank you very much. That's my public comment to you guys.
Next speaker, please.
James Vinyoski, James Allison, or John Vinyoski, sorry, James Allison, PJ Andrews, Dylan Hoy Bianchi.
It's okay. James is a nice name, too. So, good evening, council. Congratulations to all the new faces. I'm here to speak in first, my name is John Vinyoki. I'm here to speak in favor of Howard Chan's extension. I think the city of Sacramento is the best run large city in California. Better than San Francisco, San Jose, LA. You can laugh all you want, but I've lived in those cities and it's a disaster. Dealing with staff there is a mess. We have fantastic staff here. Some of them are in the room. I'd start naming some of my favorite names and faces, but I'll spare you all. And I think the two are related. I mean, Howard's been in the job for 8 years. Culture's set at the top. So if something's not broke, don't fix it. I think Howard enjoys the support and confidence of labor, of staff, and of the business community because he just does a fantastic job leading the city through a difficult time. If you look at a lot of other large California cities have been uninvestable, okay? And I build, you know what I do, build affordable housing and urban infill, transit-oriented development projects. You can't build what we're building here in many other cities in California, unfortunately, and a large part of that is because the staff is just not well run. And we have a huge asset in Howard. I'd highly recommend not just extending him for the next year, but for the next multiple years. That stability and certainty is really critical when you're planning millions of dollars of investment and you're putting millions of dollars of your own personal assets on the line. It's really helpful to have certainty and stability and leadership. And your job, I think, primarily is to attract as much capital into your neighborhoods as possible because that's what leads to jobs, housing, opportunity, economic opportunity. That's what's going to lift, all of your constituents, and rising tide lifts all ships. So, big supporter of Howard Chan and his staff, and I think you should do the right thing and extend his contract for more than a year. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and staff. My name is James Allison, Executive Director of the Power In Alliance, a property business improvement district representing Sacramento's manufacturing and industrial core and the 1,300 businesses within it. I'm here today to offer our support for the extension of City Manager Howard Chan's contract. Sacramento has faced myriad challenges over the last several years, least of which our ongoing structural deficit that we're facing here as a city. Last year, under the city manager's leadership, we were able to navigate the deficit, delivering a balanced budget without cuts to critical city services, and more importantly, no layoffs to city staff. Sacramento has entered into a period of new leadership, but not just limited to our local government, that has been seen at county, state, and federal government. With so much uncertainty coming from various leadership groups, it is critical that we do maintain this level of consistency that we are able to here in Sacramento. We believe that the decision to extend the city manager's contract will aid in ensuring forward momentum in addressing the challenges that we are facing as a community. One need only look at Power In. Speaking with the stakeholders that we have in our district, it's often said that if we look back at the past decades in Power In, we see even worse than the cleanliness and safety issues that we've experienced in our district. Many of the stakeholders that we have credit the amazing partnerships that have been formed with the city and really fostered by the staff that we have across Sacramento in ensuring a clean and safe environment for Power In and its visitors. We believe that the decision today to extend the contract will help aid in that forward momentum, both with addressing our city's financial concerns, but also in bringing some real positive change to many of the challenges that we see on the streets of Sacramento on a day-to-day basis. Thank you all for the time, and we appreciate it.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
PJ Andrews, following PJ's Dylan Hoy Bianchi, then Dan Allison.
So Howard will continue the status quo of not solving problems, superficially addressing them so they keep popping up. He doesn't understand people's circumstances and so can never address actual solutions. He will continue destroying the trust between those that need the city's help and the city, and he will keep utilizing his position to keep the council under his thumb and doing his bidding. And we have added more status quo superstars to the council. District 4 didn't go to a runoff because of 116 votes after the incumbent was outspent 3-1 by a developer-backed candidate. The mayorship would have gone differently if 0.5% of ballots had gone to Dr. Flo, after she was outspent 10-1 by a developer-backed candidate, after the winner spent 20 years in elected office in Sacramento, and Dr. Flo came within 0.5% of beating him. Neither of you new people are here because you had popular support, because you were able to manipulate a system that is prone to manipulation. What a cynical way to live. You'll fit right in with Howard as you capitulate your vote to him today. The mayoral candidate had to lie about Dr. Flo's plans in order to win, had to have those spending on his behalf rely on half-truths, lies, and manipulation of the voting populace, and with all of that, just barely eked out a victory. So watch yourselves. Because we're planning on coming after each and every one of you who employs status quo tactics, coming after your positions on this council, coming after your ploys to play the fears of neighbors and communities rather than speaking to the potential that exists. It's tired. It's lazy. I'd say you're above it, but that clearly isn't the case. But you should be. And it's sad that you aren't. Planning has already begun. So enjoy your seats while you have them and glean those developer dollars that keep people unhoused and harassed and traumatized by police. Keep lying to your constituents about what is happening and drawing on their fear. And we will consistently outspend you in the truth of the matter and not on status quo thinking, because people recognize that your status quo ain't solving shit. Best of luck.
Next speaker is Dylan, Hoy Bianchi, Dan Allison, and then Sunrise.
Hello, my name is Dylan. I'm a resident of District 3, specifically the Northgate neighborhood, which the mayor in his speech last week mentioned he wanted to shine a spotlight on. I want to just, I'm going to reference some of the stuff that happened last week because I meant to make this comment last week, but unfortunately was delayed. The mayor-elect, Kevin McCarty, has had decades in politics and massive name recognition and still just barely managed an embarrassingly close win against a no-name candidate who's never held office before, and alienated a huge portion of the city in the process by spending several $100,000s to send out mailers filled with racist lies. In his remarks last week, the mayor did briefly shout out his opposition, saying, "I'm your mayor too." Well, no, not yet. You're not. You have to earn that honor. Instead of a mandate to govern, you have an obligation to mend fences and take Dr. Flo's coalition and our concerns seriously if you want to actually serve the city and make Sacramento better. And this must start with rejecting Howard Chan's contract extension. Howard Chan's tenure as city manager has been disastrous for the city. He is responsible for the deaths of numerous unhoused individuals due to his callous response to inclement weather. He regularly ignores direction from the city council. He has stood in the way of progress on many issues, and homelessness in particular, and done all of this with a compensation package bigger than any other government official in the state. If you want to continue the status quo of a broken city, by all means, extend Howard's contract. But if you want to prove that you are worthy of the title you've just been sworn into, Mayor McCarty, if you want to show people that this run for mayor was about more than just your ego and political career, if you truly want to represent the entire city, don't be a coward. Get rid of Howard. And to the other members of this council, I encourage you to look at the election results and see how well Dr. Flo performed in your district and weigh how much you are eager to be challenged by that coalition in your next election as you consider how you vote tonight. Thank you for your time.
Next speaker is Dan Allison, then Sunrise.
Good evening, Council. Dan Allison, District 4. I oppose the extension of the contract for Howard Chan. The city manager is not working for the citizens of Sacramento. The council manager governance model only works if the council holds the city manager accountable. It has not. The city manager has routinely ignored the direction of the council, most egregiously on homeless issues. The SACB has reported a number of dishonest, if not illegal, actions. The city manager has a false view of public safety, thinking that increases in the police budget solve the public safety challenge. They do not. Most important to me as a transportation advocate, the city manager has refused to allocate significant funding to traffic safety and the reduction of traffic violence. You're going to consider an emergency declaration in part due to the failure of the city manager to pay attention to the most important public safety issue, which is traffic safety. If Howard Chan had been paying attention, we probably wouldn't have an emergency. Several leaders have expressed that the extension would provide stability. My question is, stability towards what end? We have a dysfunctional governance and management model. Do we want to continue that? I hope not. Thank you.
Next speaker is Sunrise, then Andrew Bianchi, then Flo Kofer.
Breathe with me. Under new management, a question, a poem. Open your ears to these streets. On May, I came pleading to this podium to remind the council then that a person died here just a week before, right outside of that door. These streets whisper the names of more dead than one can hold. We hold space to remember them right outside of that door every winter solstice, December 21st, the night most cold. The city manager has made decisions with fatal consequences for our neighbors who live outside. He has said publicly that he would make those decisions again. And maybe that's a question of direction given. And yes, tonight can be a new direction. And yes, Sacramento desperately needs a new direction. And I challenge you to do better than the direction that you campaigned on, Mayor, the one that invites punishment for poverty rather than solutions for the problems causing us pain. Our communities are in pain. Listen and open your ears to the streets. Huddled in this room, this warm room of the People's Hall, can you hear the pleas for life-saving warmth in this cold weather? Do you hear the desperation? Do you hear mine? Do you hear the people that were swept by this city manager, the people who are dying outside that door? There is a body count. We have a police department that recently announced the death in custody of a woman they were sweeping. Sweeps kill. Sweeps kill in this city. We say no camping ban because sweeps, displacement, kills. Welcome to day one. You are responsible for a city and people are dying on these streets. Open your ears to what is happening on these streets. Welcome. A better world is possible.
Andrew Bianchi, then Flo Kofer, then Keon Bliss.
Hello, my name is Andrew Bianchi, and I'm a resident of District 3. I'm not sure what I can say about Howard Chan that hasn't been said and that you all haven't heard time and time again. I wonder if you all ever think seriously and critically about why we keep showing up meeting after meeting to demand action from this council when it comes to Howard Chan. Howard Chan is the highest paid city manager in the state of California, with his 2023 pay and benefits totaling over $700,000. I find it strange then that when the decision of whether or not to defer this contract decision until after the new council and mayor were sworn into office, members of this council made pleas to consider Chan's family, saying that we need to think about his family when making decisions about his job so close to the holidays. Howard Chan is in no danger of not being able to pay his bills, and I wonder why maintaining his excess of wealth is more important than, for example, the lives that we have lost due to his refusal to open emergency shelters during extreme weather events. It honestly feels disgusting to use that language in an attempt to paint Howard Chan is somehow underpaid and overburdened. How you all manage to gaslight and lie through your teeth to the people living in this city about our city manager's pay, behavior, and effectiveness is almost impressive. Howard Chan works for you, although in practice it doesn't operate that way, does it? The thing is, though, you work for us. We elected you. We did not elect Howard Chan. So what do we do when you won't listen to us and Howard Chan won't listen to you? Well, you could refuse to extend his contract so that we don't all forget only the city council has the power to fire our city manager. If this new council actually cares to prioritize accountability to the community, refusing to extend Howard Chan's contract would be the perfect place to start. Thank you.
Next speaker is Flo Kofer, then Keon Bliss.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is difficult to do, and my leg is shaking because it is difficult to speak truth to power. And at the same time, if you lie about your pain, and people will kill you and say you enjoyed it. And so I want to be really clear here. My time here in Sacramento, I've seen the best of Sacramento. We've had conversations where we disagreed, listened, and learned from each other. And we've been able to talk about the best of what Sacramento has to offer. I've also seen the worst of what Sacramento has to offer. And the absolute worst is this. In late September, I was told that I would be given a campaign contribution in exchange for agreeing to extend the city manager's contract by 1 year. And I was told that this had to happen because the city required stability. I want to make it very clear that, to my knowledge, Howard Chan was not aware of and did not condone what was offered to me on his behalf. But that it happened at all gives me serious concerns about who is pulling the strings and what they're willing to do or have already done. Needless to say, I was shocked that I was offered this. Before I launched my campaign, I decided not to take corporate PAC money because of the influence of money in politics. And I was particularly concerned that the influence often works against the interests of the people who live here. And naively, I always assumed that the influence was implied. I never expected a blatant offer of a campaign contribution to take a political action. But given the casual ease with which it was offered, I can't help but wonder if I'm the only one in town who has had this experience. It makes me worry about business as usual in Sacramento. I worry why at least 2 political donors in Sacramento are willing to commit crimes to try to keep the unelected city manager in his job. And I'm sharing my experience because I think Sacramentans should be aware. I've seen the best of Sacramento, and this is not it. And I just want to remind us that I want to make sure that our city decisions are not made with undue influence. And I also want to add that I have absolutely no reason to lie
Thank you
about
for your
this.
comments.
Thank you.
Your time is complete. Our next speaker is Keon Bliss. And I'm going to read a few names that were here last week, but I don't believe they turned in a slip this week. Mike Testa, Emily Bamey, Gabriel Morningstar, and Billy Baker. Please proceed.
Mayor and council, you have the opportunity to really start fresh. I will love to give you all the benefit of doubt, especially those of you who are just starting on. But frankly, the past 8 years that I have seen of this council gives me reason to believe nothing is going to change. Largely because a lot of you are controlled by money. I mean, they're literally in the audience right here, like that have been giving you tens of thousands of dollars to make decisions on his behalf. I know from experience, having been on my first city commission, and can tell you 100% that Howard Chan has no integrity. He is not a man of integrity. He doesn't respect you. He has literally he's literally broken the law twice for his pay raises. He has broken state law to undermine and water down a racial equity initiative. And he has literally added things on your agendas that you didn't ask for, even when you were asking for things like a middle housing income ordinance to be put on there. And if he doesn't respect you all, I know he doesn't respect you all, but everybody here in this room can tell you that he doesn't respect you all. That's why he is oftentimes confused for the mayor, at least to the last time. There's a lot that could be said about what kind of character that really represents within this city. But I'm here to point out that we as community members, you represent all of us, not just the wealthy interests that give you to the tune of $95,000, like from the Firefighters Local 522 to this council, or $94,000 from the Sacramento Police Officers Association, or $38,000 from the Sacramento Metro Chamber. We have serious issues that we need.
Thank you for your comments. Your time is complete. Our next speaker is Mary Tapple. Your time is complete.
Next speaker,
Please take your
Thank
seat. Mary Tapple. And I'm going to read, Mary, if you'll give me a moment. Mike Testa, I don't believe is here. Emily Bamey, Gabriel Morningstar, and Billy Baker. So Ms. Tapple, and following Ms. Tapple is Michael Andrew Barnbaum. Just a moment. Mary. Give me a moment. Let me restart your time, please.
Oh, okay. Hi, and particularly welcome to Roger Dickinson, one of the many who helped clean up our bike trail. And I was so impressed with how well the city management and staff worked with our community groups. I've been working with the Safe, Clean, and Beautiful Bike Trail group for a long time now, ever since it formed. And this has been the most amazing experience of my life, and all the cleanups I've been involved over about 3 decades, and lots of thousands of hours of cleanups. This one went the best, and we had the support of the park safety rangers, we had the support of the city police, and we had the council members' support. And this was unique in my experience, but people are trying to move back to the Sacramento Northern Bike Trail in encampments, and some of them are bringing aggressive dogs. and they are dumping a large amount of stuff that, when it gets to be dry again, will be a fire hazard. And before, when they were in the Camp Resolution area, they not only had a homicide in that small area, in each of 2023, that one was by machete, a horrible, mean way to die. And the next one was by stabbing in 2024, in a very small number, among a very small number group. And that would represent a huge concentration of homicides in the general Sacramento City. And they are ones that are not out of a clear blue sky. They regularly are violent people. And they also were doing things like disabling our fire hydrants when we needed them in the summer hot period, when we had all sorts of fire hazards. So, and we received support from all the city staff, including our city manager. Please extend his contract. We need the consistency, and we need to stay safe. Thank you very much.
Next speaker is Michael Barnbaum, then Tiffany Clark.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. Michael Barnbaum, and I reside in District 2. I want to go on record seconding the comments of Dylan Hoy Bianchi, Andy Bianchi, and Dr. Flo Kofer. And I want to elaborate on what they have said and second their motion in that the timing of this, given the city's $77 million budget deficit, is not appropriate. I do believe in getting things done with heart and hustle, but I don't believe in rushing to a formal decision. When I feel that I'm being rushed into something and need more time, I vote no on the matter. And I hope that 94,495 people will be able to come together and work closely with the other 96,433. Yes, I kept the stats when the county released them and was the one responsible on the campaign to report every and any update the county made. And I will keep these records. What happened was very hard for me, and it's something I still take, and it's hard today. So please, when you get to this item, please vote no. I think there's an alternative way to make sure that more is possible for the people of Sacramento. Thank you.
Next speaker is Tiffany Clark, then Patrick Clark, then Zion Tatis.
Good evening, Mayor McCarty, council members, staff, and congratulations to those new and reelected to the council. My name is Tiffany Clark. I was in the news earlier this year sounding the alarm about Measure C's inequities. I'm the Sacramento attorney who was in the news, and who pushed back during this year's budget negotiations against two dramatic and inequitable fee hikes targeting often socioeconomically disadvantaged home business owners. This time, again, urging the council to take a stand for fairness and equity in the budget, this time by voting no on extending this city manager's contract as drafted, regardless of what you may think of his performance. Because with large and growing budget deficits and no easy budget cuts left, every dollar spent on above market compensation, the highest in the state for a city manager, according to the B, is a dollar taken effectively from a relatively undercompensated employee in this year's contract negotiations, or an underserved resident in the form of more fee hikes, more service cuts. If the city manager is unwilling to renegotiate even the most questionable salary and severance portions of his contract, then so be it. This city council need not sacrifice equity and fairness for the sake of stability, because it's common practice for city managers to come and go, especially after an election, and for an interim city manager or assistant city manager serving as interim to provide the needed stability while a new city manager is recruited. So please take a stand for equity and fairness with this first vote of your new session and vote no on this extension. Thank you.
Patrick, then Zion.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. My name is Patrick Clark. I'm a labor relations consultant. I represent more than 50 different cities, counties, and special districts as a labor negotiator. I'm here to remind you that you're about to enter into labor negotiations with virtually all of your employees this spring. And this is going to be particularly difficult because you're facing a $77 million deficit. And approving this agreement tonight will be problematic. You have already the highest paid city manager in the state of California. I submit the city of Sacramento is not the wealthiest city in the state, nor is Mr. Chan the most experienced city manager. Notwithstanding their support this evening, when you go to the bargaining table, they're going to have high expectations. Expectations that I submit are going to be very difficult for you to meet with a $77 million deficit. These employees know that they are below average in compensation. Their surrounding agencies, I negotiate for many of them, have been giving out large salary increases, and you're not going to be in a position to match them. I suggest that you either renegotiate even modest concessions for Mr. Chan's contract so that you can look these employees in the eye when you offer them less compensation than their surrounding agencies. Or if he's unwilling to negotiate or renegotiate, I would say let the contract expire. He will receive another year's compensation. You can move forward with an assistant city manager serving as interim. Many of my clients do this. Several are doing it at this moment. Or you can hire an outside interim city manager while you conduct a countrywide, national recruitment and select a city manager that all 9 of you can support. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Zion Tatis, and then Jay King.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. Welcome, Kevin. So for me, I'm definitely against Howard Chen because I feel like you really don't serve the community that you said you serve, which is the underserved, underrepresented community. So for me, you have been affecting me through my businesses because I did fight for Great Plate program, but you wrote me a letter saying that my food was not healthy. And I have the witness right there who's Kevin, my customer, and everybody, my customer, that who really believed my food was healthy. And you pulled that plug on me. And I suffered because of that. Yeah. And the cannabis equity right now is out of control. We fought for Black community to get involved into the cannabis industry. 80% of it is spent somewhere else, not in our community that fought for it from the beginning. So I feel like I don't even know why we have to extend your staying when you are actually now working for the underserved, underrepresented community, which government was supposed to be working for the businesses who are underserved, the people, the youth are in our community killing each other. Oh, that's community violence. It is your responsibility, all of you, to make sure our youth are not killing each other. Our businesses, small businesses are suffering right now in Sacramento. The homeless is out of control. At my restaurant, I see the same homelessness again and again. What is there for them? What is it? I don't see it. Do you see it? We don't see any change. I've been around in Sacramento for a long time. I don't see any change. So we need some big change. We need some big policy to change our community, especially put the money back.
Thank you for your comments. Your time is complete. Our next speaker is Jay King, then Mac Worthy.
Good evening, everyone. Congratulations, Mayor and council members. My name is Jay King. I am the president and CEO of the California Black Chamber of Commerce and 97.5 FM KDEE. It is an honor to stand here today to express our full support for Howard Chan's one-year contract extension as city manager of Sacramento. Howard has dedicated 22 years of service to this city, and his leadership has been nothing short of exceptional. Through challenges and opportunities alike, he has consistently demonstrated the qualities of a true leader: dedication, integrity, innovation, and a commitment to problem solving. His efforts have fostered partnerships, supported economic growth, and strengthened the very fabric of our community. As we know, leadership is about consistency and vision, and Howard has embodied both throughout his tenure. His proven track record and ability to address the unique needs of the Sacramentans have earned him the trust and respect of not just the city, but the business community as well. The California Black Chamber of Commerce is proud to stand with him because we know his priorities align with fostering economic opportunity and ensuring that all residents have a voice in the future of this city. Howard's experience and proven commitment make him the right choice to continue leading Sacramento forward. On behalf of our members and the business community, we urge the council to move forward with his one-year extension. Let's continue this progress and build upon the strong foundation that has been established under his guidance. Thank you, and let's support a leader who has proven time and time again that he is dedicated to the success of Sacramento. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Mac Worthy, then Vito Scromo.
Good afternoon, members. A lot have been said that I could have said if you had to just open up. I have documentation where I put them here. It's 41 years old. Same thing you were doing. Kevin got my records when he first came here. You can't change this city, young man. First, you told us you was part black. Wow. You didn't have to do that. See, these are the things that we don't see. Change the charter. Change the charter of this city, and you will get rid of this garbage because it's a whole house government. Change it. Get in there and change it. It needs to be changed. Where that no mayor can put a motion on the floor, and no mayor can vote unless there's a tie vote. The parliamentary procedures will change the garbage in Sacramento. Are you going to go down to 2? Because I'm going to do my utmost to work with Donald Trump to shorten your money. People, we see the most people that spoke here tonight gets a check from the city. Why do you bring these people out here? Because you lie. There's no safe city in America, and you will never have a safe city. What went on in Chicago can happen here. What went on in Madison, the little girl killer, it can happen here because people like you have lied to those folks day in and day out. Tell them the truth. Deal with the truth, and we'll go places. I was in the business for 59 years here in this city. I came here at 19 years old. I'm the oldest member in this household tonight, 83 years old, and still coming. Wake up, people. Wake up. America can do better, and Donald Trump going to make it. So my advice, the police department, clean up your trash, because I'm coming.
Thank you for your comments. Vito Scromo, Alyssa Lee, then Marbella Sala.
Mayor, City Council, I've known Mr. Chan for the past 14 years and worked with him on many major community issues. I've also worked with many state employees at his level or higher, and rarely have I met such a dedicated, hardworking, and professional employee who has the interest of the city and the public. I encourage you to extend his contract. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Alyssa Lee, then Marbella Sala, then Henry Harry.
Hello, Council. My name is Elisa Lee. I live in District 4, and welcome to the new Council to this wonderful challenge of making Sacramento a prosperous and livable city for everyone. I've tried to put myself in all of your shoes and to imagine how difficult this choice would be and what kind of consequences you might fear facing if you vote not to extend Howard Chan's contract. But I'm asking you to please not extend this contract because right now his leadership has continued to let so many of Sacramentans down. As a transportation advocate, I can speak specifically to how much our city is failing on public safety when it comes to keeping people who are trying to navigate the city at any point outside of a car, walking, biking, as youth, as elderly. We are doing worse ever since we declared Vision Zero. I've met so many amazing staff in the transportation engineering department. They talk to me, they listen to us, they are doing amazing things, and yet over and over, we're not making the progress we need. And the reason why is because over and over, the budget continues to not allocate any funding toward the recommendations of staff and of our commissions. So we have this challenge that we need everyone in Sacramento to work together to solve our problems. We have people ready to work with you. Our commissions, our advocacy groups, our staff, they are amazing people. And yet, they're not what's holding us back. It is the leadership here that is continuing to not allow us to do what we want to do to make the city better. We have plans, we have research, we have people. What we need is the funding and the resources. And lastly, on public safety, the people who are dying because we are the #1 city for pedestrian deaths for people under the age of 15. People are dying because of not having emergency shelters. They are Sacramentans. You lead them as well.
Thank you for your comments. Our next speaker is Marbella Sala. Following Marbella is Henry Harry, then Mo Kashirmi.
Good evening, and I want to welcome, it's so exciting to see the new council. It's good to see you, Councilman Dickinson, Councilman Pleckenbaum. He stepped out, but to see him sitting here. But I'm very happy to be addressing you, Mayor McCarty, and sitting up there. And also, I want to thank you for coming to your first community event at Gardenland Northgate Community Dinner. The community was so appreciative that you were there, so thank you. I also want to say that it's regrettable that all of you are here having to make this very difficult decision. The last council should have made the decision. And the reason they didn't make the decision is because they were not clear about what all of them saying, having the new manager, the Howard Chan, continue will provide stability because we're having all this crisis, we have this budget. If they were clear that that was a problem, they would have voted to extend the contract and not put it on your shoulders. So it's very unfair that they're doing it all to all of you, and you're having to make a very difficult decision in a short period of time without all the information. But I'm here to say, I have faith in all of you. You have 4 assistant city managers that have been in those positions for several years. You have a budget and audit committee that are very familiar with the budget and finance. You have a very competent financial budget department. I've worked with them. They're competent, knowledgeable, and you have all of you who are very knowledgeable and competent and are leaders that will not, this city will not fall apart because one person is gone. I can guarantee you that. It will not fall apart. And with you all in your leadership position and Mayor in your leadership position and the amazing staff and assistant city managers, you will accomplish.
Thank you for your comments. Your time is complete. Thank you, Marbella. Henry Harry, and then Mo Kashmiri. Is Henry here? Oh, there we are. Following Henry is Mo, then Rachel.
Good evening, members of the council. I have nothing personal against Mr. Chan. It's the position, and the amount of money he's getting for that position is what I've objected to for years. And so you have people like this officer over here and the other ones working here. These guys go out and they risk their lives jumping fences, chasing bad guys, and they put something on the line, and they get, I'm going to say, under $100,000. I don't know what the exact amount is for a new officer. But you take a guy that's not putting himself on the line, and you're giving him $400,000. Again, it's nothing personal. You got to draw the line somewhere. If you extend this contract, make this the last one, let him be on his way, and the next guy comes in shouldn't get that amount of money. Now, if you're going to vote for him, I hope that you make sure that he's going to be more transparent in presenting this budget that's coming up. make more opportunities for people to participate. I hope that whatever deal that you've made with him, if you're going to extend his contract, doesn't involve any increases in benefits or money. I'm expecting that not to be there. And then I hope that if you extend his contract, you require him to, I already said be transparent, but hopefully explain this. As we approach a $77 million budget deficit, the city is saying that it's primarily due to an expansion into new city service areas. And I hope somebody in the city will explain to us what these new city service areas are so we can make some intelligent comments about the budget. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Mo Kashmiri, and then Rachel.
Hello, Mo Kashmiri, District 4 resident. We are facing a massive budget deficit, and, I recently was part of the recent elections, and I knocked on hundreds of doors, and overwhelmingly, the sense we got was that people were unsatisfied by the direction of Sacramento as a city. They feel like we need to do much more on homelessness, and that's affecting, and it's dragging our city and our businesses down as well. And I know one candidate ran on more as possible, and Mayor McCarty, I received a mailer from you that said, we need a change in leadership. And if that's what you meant, I would ask you to help us turn the page. We're a working class city. The last thing we need in a budget deficit is overpaid civil servants. These serve us. We don't serve them. And we do not need that much money going to the city manager right now. We need that money for services, for our community, for all the things that we want in our city to make it amazing. And to say one person that should get paid more than the governor for his job is just patently ridiculous. If there is a budget deficit, we need to chop from the top. That's what our voters want. They want to chop from the top. They want us to have change in Sacramento and turn a new page. And we ask this council to reject Howard Chan's contract. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. I have 3 more speakers. Rachel, Drew, then Nikolai. Rachel, Drew, then Nikolai.
Sacramento is the 6th largest city in California by population. There's no reason that the city manager should be making 5 times more than our mayor and 3 times more than our governor. This year, Howard proposed a 28 million increase to the police budget to a record high of 250 million, even with a 66 million budget deficit, when we had a 66 million budget deficit. We have no civilian oversight for police. Howard has never fired a single officer for killing unarmed black men like Stephon Clark. Even with Sac PD consistently targeting black and brown residents for stops, arrests, and use of force at higher rates than everyone else, Howard goes out of his way to protect them. Howard Chan has cost Sacramento's community. We've had numerous deaths from refusing to open emergency shelters during severe weather, when he isn't strong-arming the mayor and council to pass anti-homeless ordinances like Measure O. Howard allows Sac PD to relentlessly sweep our unhoused neighbors, even during the worst weather conditions, at a cost of $4.6 million. We also have, rather than make cuts to police or fire, that now make up 73% of the city's discretionary spending, Howard consistently proposes increasing fees to city parking and community services, in addition to cutting the popular programs like the youth ride-free regional transit, community museums, language access, public works, and over 40 positions to youth and parks. Please do not renew this contract.
I have 2 more speakers, Drew, then Nikolai Itner. Drew.
In his inaugural speech as council member last week, Phil quoted Dr. Deming, a famous business theorist, electrical engineer, and management consultant, and saying every system is perfectly designed to get the results it gets. I think that's a fitting aphorism, especially for Sacramento. However, as we consider the extension of the city manager contract, I'd like for us to consider another quote from Dr. Deming. That is, defects are not free. Somebody makes them and gets paid for making them. I like this one because not only does it consider the existence of an issue, but also the inevitable opportunity cost that hides in its shadow. In reappointing Howard Chan and opting for the uninspired definition of continuity present in y'all's recent sound bites, there's incredible opportunity cost. That is, the lost opportunity to appoint someone who doesn't require the highest total wages of any California city manager and the second highest of any California official just under Gavin Newsom to perform their duties. The opportunity to appoint someone whose interest is in serving, not dispersing themselves for retroactive raises. We move into the new year with a looming $70-something million deficit, too many dead pedestrians, and an utterly subverted unhoused population in need of real solutions. Who is paid to create these defects? And if we can answer that question, Dr. Deming would then want us to ask, should we pay them $300,000 or $600,000 or $800,000 or whatever future multitude of the average take-home that they may come up with to do so? It shouldn't take an economist, theorist, or engineer to answer this. Since last Tuesday, after watching Kevin consummate his newly bestowed job by opting to do it the next time, I must admit that my faith in the council to correct the course plotted by Howard's compliance jukes, city charter contraventions, and Brown Act violations is diminished. Still, as evidenced by the crowd gathered here around this issue, it needs to be said. At the very least, please make the guy complete his mandatory diversity training before giving him another year of complacency. Thank you.
Nikolai will be our final speaker on this item.
Good evening. I also remember being excited on my first day as a public servant. One could even say celebratory. I don't recall telling my supervisor an hour into my first official day that there's a long list of issues that we need to address, but that today is a day for celebration. I was optimistically expecting a mediocre city government that might cooperate with city residents. Instead, I was greeted by a city council that ended their first day early, ignoring the city business on the agenda and declining to hear from the public present. I went back to the records that are on the city clerk's website back to 2008. That is the first time that the city council has decided not to take public comment or the agenda items on the first day in session. Congratulations, what a start to the tenure of the mayor with real experience. If I'm ruffling your feathers or I feel antagonistic today on my first appearance before you, consider proving me wrong. Work with the community to make better decisions, to follow new trajectories rather than the status quo. Trajectories that don't leave Sacramento in a deficit while funneling greater funds to the police, while the city struggles with deteriorating infrastructure, while the city struggles with traffic violence and is one of the worst regions and most dangerous in the nation, while the community struggles with homelessness and the city instead prioritizes sweeps and criminalization. Sweeps kill. Traffic violence kills. Your decisions kill, or your decisions have the ability to make this city a better place. The people of this community, the people of every city everywhere, deserve better than this. Prove me wrong and choose a new trajectory for the city.
I have no more speakers.
Thank you. Back to the council. No more public comment. Questions or comments from council members? We'll start with Councilmember Guerra.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll keep this short. I think it was said today that we had a fantastic staff here in our city from our rank and file, and many of them came and spoke here. And Howard has led that staff for a long time, and even through the most toughest times. But the conversation we're having today is about the condition of the contract. And in reviewing the contract and seeing the condition of the contract, I can't support this condition of this contract. And so, Mr. Mayor, I'm going to move to reject the item, and if the city manager executes Section 9 of his contract, which is his right, then I want to provide direction with this motion to the city clerk and the HR director to bring back to the council the next steps for the search process for the position of city manager. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, council member.
I'll second Councilmember Guerra's motion.
Okay, we have an emotion. We have a motion, a second on the floor. We'll go back and repeat that if we have to dispense with that. Councilmember Vang.
Thanks, Mayor. I'll also support that motion as well and echo Mayor Pro Tem Talamantes. First, I just really want to take this moment to say thank you to those who came today to speak. I know it is the holiday season, and this is at the forefront of our city, so really appreciate y'all coming out. Those who came to speak in support of the contract and those who came to share their insights of why we should not extend the contract. So I really just wanted to say thank you just to the public. And tonight, I will be supporting the motion on the table, but I think it's really important for me just to say the reasons why I think that's really important. First, I just want to acknowledge the many years that Howard Chan has worked in the city. I think it's important to acknowledge, he started from the ranks working in our parking division and really appreciate all the hard work that he's done. Howard and I may not always agree on everything. As many of you know, the racial equity resolution, we've bumped heads a lot. Right? But that doesn't mean that we still can't work together. And so I really just want to hold this moment and say thank you, depending on how the votes play out tonight, but really thank you for your service, even though we may not agree on everything. But for me, the reason why I'm also voting no, and I really want to put it on record, is because for me, this is really about our system that's not working. And I say that because while, it could be Howard, it could be anyone sitting in that position, but I also want to acknowledge that a big part of where we're at today is also because of the mayor and the council. And I say that because when I came in as a city council member, we really didn't have a transparent process of how we evaluated our charter officers. And I'll give an example, especially this year. On July 30th, I believe around July 30th, I'm looking at Councilwoman Kaplan, we had a special meeting to discuss our charter officers evaluation and annual reports. They would come to P&P, make their annual reports, and then it would go to the council for consideration in closed session. And during the P&P committee, we attempted to do this in July. I'm not on the P&P committee, but all our city officers submitted their annual reports except for the city manager. All the annual reports were on consent, and my understanding is that process wasn't followed and none of the evaluation was taken up. The only evaluation that we've done this year is our city auditor. And I think it's really important that because we have a new mayor and new council, is that we need to set clear expectations to the city manager, whomever they may be, whether it's the current one, depending on the vote, or the new city manager, but all of our charter officers. As mayor and council, we actually have not evaluated benchmarks or performance on our city manager. And we shouldn't be approving this contract or any further salary raises unless we actually complete annual reports and benchmark evaluation. And the city manager should not be the exception. I also just want to say for our new mayor, McCarty, as we move forward, you actually have the power to put these evaluation in closed session agenda. It's actually not the council, even though it goes to P&P. And so moving forward, I just want to say on record that it's going to be really important that under your leadership, that we assess benchmarks of our charter officers, and we do that on a timely matter. And so I just wanted to make sure I share that with our new mayor as well. I also want to share that last year, we conducted a priority setting for our council at the city's manager's request, actually, because I know he worked for 9 bosses and he has to figure out how to serve 9 bosses, and so he did request that. And to date, we actually have not acted upon those priorities. So I also hope to our new mayor that under your leadership, we are going to have a priority workshop given the new council, and so that we can all be in line. And then lastly, this city is bigger than one council member. It's bigger than one city manager. It's bigger than one mayor, right? And like what I heard from our public residents and even Councilmember Guerra mentioned too, we have incredibly competent city staff that runs the city every single day, picking up the trash, cleaning the drain, running management, right? Mayor, council members, city managers, if you look at the pictures outside, if you look at the history, they come and go. But the people that remain in the city are the workers, are the residents, right? And so I also feel like for those that are concerned that if we don't extend the contract, and this is for folks who came in support talking about stability and is concerned about that, I hear you on that piece. As a elected, we have to govern, we have to address this deficit, but I also have full faith in my city staff that even if we don't extend this contract, our city will still run. because I believe in our competent city, hardworking city staff. And lastly, I believe we owe it to the people of the city to be open, to be honest, to be transparent, and we need to do this before extending the contract, and that means actually doing an evaluation. And so for that, I will be supporting the motion on the table and rejecting extending the contract.
Thank you. Councilmember Kaplan?
Thank you, Mayor. I think it's important as we look what our job is to also understand the history of Sacramento's city manager form of governments, what it means, and what my job as an elected councilwoman is as I weigh the future of our city. In doing some research, I found an article from 1887 written by Woodrow Wilson prior to him becoming president, where he advocated for the separation of politics and administration, proposing the development of a professional bureaucracy guided by technical expertise and objective criteria, emphasizing the need to insulate bureaucracy from political interference. Those words, written 137 years ago, are still true to this day. It is the job of our city manager to run the day-to-day functions of our city, and for the elected mayor and council to set the policy for the city manager to implement and to hold him accountable to that implementation. Too often in today's environment, politics is at play, which overshadows what is best for our city. I have confidence in our city manager, Howard Chan, to run the day-to-day functions of our city in the best interest of all Sacramentans, despite disagreements among our council members. I want to thank Councilmember Mai Vang because 2 years ago when I was elected, it was, to my chagrin, that we had no benchmarks, no accountability, no evaluation process for any of our charter members or direct appointees. That has never been my experience in running a business or being on serving on a school board. Any nonprofit board of directors, there is a process. We started it, we created something, we did fairly good in 23, and then it kind of went to chaos this year. And that chaos is not where we should be. As Sacramento faces an approximate $77 million budget deficit and continuing deficit 3 years out, I truly believe, in hearing from my constituents, that it is in the best interest of Sacramento to acknowledge the 22 years of experience of our city manager and where he has guided us through the pandemic and the use of funds and trying to save as many jobs as possible and change the direction of our city. But I would also not be true in saying that we are throwing stones in a glass house. We all play a part in this dysfunction. We all play a part in doing better. We all can do better, and that's where I've said before in the hiring of our city auditor, who I support, but didn't support the process. And where I've said before when some of our charter officers have gotten raises. We need to go back to creating a process where it removes the politics, where we have objective standards, where we, whether it's all 9 of us or a subcommittee, finds a way that we not only hold our city manager accountable to implementing the policy of a majority of the city council, but all of our charter members, because I think we have to change the direction of what's going on, and we're hearing from the public, change the direction. But it's also, how do we look at a city manager who has risen through the ranks and has spent 22 years in this city, who is homegrown, who has dedicated his life to what he's done? We've got to move forward. We have to make a decision tonight. It is no longer like why it's taken us this long has been a source of frustration for myself and everybody else. And that's where I do support our new mayor. The rules clearly state it is only the mayor that can put evaluations on in closed session. And so how we do that and direct that, there's a small provision in PP&E, but that means going public. It doesn't mean evaluation. So we need to hold
our city manager accountable for following council direction. We need to have all of our charter members follow council direction, because insubordination is not okay, no matter in what form it takes. And we have to be grown-ups and have that conversation. And so, nothing is perfect. But I do see that it is time to move forward in addressing the core issues facing Sacramento: our unhoused, the high cost of housing, safety, the unbelievable youth violence that we are seeing, and more importantly, our structural budget deficit, and move on from discussing politics and disagreements between elected officials and the city manager. Without the historical context of how a city runs and understanding that the day-to-day is not with us, we set policy of where the city manager runs, but also realize city manager has done a lot of things that nobody sees behind the scenes, which is his job, in pulling together and making sure we have the Aggie Square agreement. Howard was essential in the middle of that. We just approved a new MLS deal. That wasn't just one person, but it was our amazing city staff under the leadership of Howard Chan, and Howard working endlessly with our mayor to come to the terms and agreements. So for me, I also look at the balance in the way of how do we respect the 22 years of our city manager? How do we respect the employees who are sitting out there watching? How we treat a 22-year employee and have honest conversations when we ourselves have not been able to sit down and create benchmarks. Because it's the job of we. Politics is not the job of I if we are to do it correctly. We have to move forward. And I believe it is understanding that Howard has done amazing. And sometimes you see an ending in sight, but how do you do it the right way while still moving our city forward? I would like to make a substitute motion that we extend the contract of the city manager for a year and immediately come February, March, start the process of looking for a new city manager.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the substitute motion. Or comments or questions from committee members? Council members. Mr. Pluggybomb.
Last week, I spoke about the need to set clear goals and measures, which I got a lot of feedback about. The importance of attracting and retaining top talent, and how we can create a supportive and inclusive environment to cultivate a dedicated team. I've known Howard a long time, and I think he has done truly remarkable things for the city. I think I think his record stands on its own. I don't think you need to. We don't need to go over it all. And like everyone, I don't think he's perfect. I think he's definitely made mistakes. Were any of those mistakes career limiting or cause for non-renewal of a contract? I disagree. So I'll be supporting the substitute motion.
Back to Councilmember Talamantes. How do I get back to my thing?
Thank you, Mayor. I think Councilmember Vang said it well, that it's the holidays and we're here at this unplanned meeting. And I don't think our city manager wants to be here. I don't think our new mayor wants to be here. Our new council members want to be here. And it was the decision of the prior council that have now forced us to be here during the holidays. And I said this last time, but I wanted to say it again, throughout the months, the last 7 months, and at least my 1 year of being in leadership as Mayor Pro Tem with our former mayor, Darrell Steinberg, I think I've had conversations about our city manager's contract at least 10 times a week. I know I have spent countless hours discussing the city manager's contract and countless texts, calls, voicemails, conversations. And I said this last time, I ran for office to address homelessness and public safety and transportation and all the other issues and growing our revenue as a region and supporting business, our small business owners and large, to grow our revenues, to address our budget deficits. And this conversation dominates the conversation of all those other important things. And today I was prepared to do a one-year extension and start the search immediately for a new city manager. But one thing that our now new mayor McCarty did today was agendize 3 hours for us to spend time together in closed session to discuss the performance evaluation of our city manager. And during those conversations, and I told many of you what I would do, one-year extension and start the search. And during those conversations, I realized that I would second the motion to reject the approval of a one-year contract and give direction to the city clerk to start the search for a new city manager. Like Councilmember Vang said, we're one council member, one mayor, one city manager, and thousands of people out in Sacramento are frustrated with us because of our inability to move on things, because we're caught up in this drama of our city manager. And I'm just tired. And it's time to move on. I think it's time for a new era of Sacramento. And I hope that people understand that we ran for office because we love Sacramento too. And I work hard day in and day out to make a difference in my community and make sure that people feel like they're listened to. And the work doesn't stop with one person not being in the seat. We have hundreds and thousands, 5,000 city employees that care about Sacramento just as much as I do. And to everyone that's concerned, we're going to continue as a city. We've been around since 1849, and we're going to continue on, regardless of who's in these seats, in your seats. All of us are replaceable, and that's one thing in leadership. Your worst mistake as a leader is to think you're irreplaceable. And I fully that's something that just resonates, and that's something I sit on as an elected official for myself. So I will be voting no on the substitute motion on the floor today because of the conversations that we had in closed session, where we spent 3 hours of heartfelt conversation that really just made me think a different way. And so for everybody that I told what I would do, this is my explanation to you.
Thank you. Councilmember Guerra and then Councilmember Maple.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think I mentioned earlier that it's the condition of the contract that's a concern, and I'm going to vote against the substitute motion, particularly because moving forward, the way the contract is drafted actually creates a 2-year employment guarantee, and not necessarily a 1-year scenario here. So. Again, this is why I think the unfortunate part is the haste, the condition of where we're voting at today. But I can't support the substitute motion for, again, it's the condition of the contract we're discussing today.
Thank you, Councilmember Maple. Vice Mayor Maple.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to start by saying I want to thank Howard for your over 22 years of service in Sacramento. And I say that from my heart, because I've had the opportunity to work with you and your incredible team and seeing what has happened even before my time coming here, working through the pandemic, economic uncertainty, and a lot of really complex policy decisions that comes from this body that you're tasked with implementing. And so, you have been a stable force for this city, but there have also been challenges. I want to make sure that I hear the community, I hear and see from my own community members and constituents and those who contact me. And today I was prepared also, along with the Mayor Pro Tem, to vote to do a 1-year with an immediate search, but closed session conversation really did help impact my thinking. And one of the things that did actually impact my thinking the most was what Councilmember Guerra just brought up, which is when we look at the contract language itself, it's not just the year extension at the current pay rate, it's also the option to exercise an additional year at the assistant city manager rate, which could be, almost $1 million for the city. And so for me, this is a financial decision as well for the city. And, my preference would be to have that continued leadership. But I can't go into the details of negotiations, but, I want to make sure that the decision that we're making today is something that would be accepted by the city manager, something that's able to move forward, and I don't have that confidence right now. So for that reason, I'm going to be supporting the original motion on the floor. Thank you.
Eric, you want to go again, Eric? Eric, did you punch up again? Did you punch up again, though? Your name's still there. Councilmember Dickinson.
Thank you, Mayor. First thing I want to mention is how grateful I am that this was the first major issue that we got to address for those of us who've just joined the council. But we take what's on our plate and address it. I'm especially appreciative of all who have expressed a view on this issue, regardless of the position you've taken. I think that this dialogue has been both enlightening and meaningful because it has served to articulate a number of the different considerations that are incumbent on us to take into an account. And I am very mindful of the points that have been raised by those who would support an extension of the contract as is. Your points have been well taken and valid. Stability is something that is meaningful. Continuity is a value that is meaningful. At the same time, I'm very mindful of those, not just tonight, but throughout conversations I've had over many weeks preceding tonight, who believe that it's a time for a transition in the leadership of the city. I was circumspect during the course of the campaign I was recently involved in, not to try to express my own opinion, but to listen to those who I was talking to at their doors in community meetings and in other venues. The sentiment from the district I'm now privileged to represent came through very clearly. And it was a sentiment strongly in favor of a transition. At the same time, I'm mindful that we have an outstanding workforce. I feel very privileged over the years. I've been lucky enough to serve in public office with the County of Sacramento, with the State of California, now with the City of Sacramento, to be in a position where I can, without reservation, talk about the tremendous, terrific work of those who serve the public here in the County of Sacramento, throughout the County of Sacramento, and certainly in the City of Sacramento. But our job, ultimately, is to determine what we believe is in the best interests of the City of Sacramento. And that's what each of you have expressed as what you believe is in the best interest of the city. The last 4 years clearly have not been easy. Others have listed some of the challenges that the City of Sacramento specifically have faced and that we all have faced as a community. The leadership, both from those on the council and on the city staff, including the city manager, have been critical to navigating those very difficult challenges. I'm sure everyone would say that it hasn't been done perfectly, far from it. But each person and the council, and I think the leadership of the city collectively, has done the best that it could under the circumstances as it saw them. So from my standpoint, the best interest of the city is not served by going to an extreme, I guess I would say, in criticizing what has happened in that period of time, given the challenge. At the same time, it is clear to me that, in my judgment, the best interest of the city is served by a transition at this point in time. And I have struggled with whether that transition was best addressed by an extension of this contract for a limited period of time and a search instituted immediately in conjunction with that, or by simply letting the contract terminate. With regard to the substitute motion, I have the same concern that's been expressed by Assembly Member, maybe one of these days, Councilmember Guerra, and others about the additional financial obligation that it carries with it, and by delaying the beginning of a search. As I assess this in the moment, it is not an easy call. I know many of you feel it is, one way or the other, but I would tell you I don't think it's an easy call. I think it's a challenging call, but one where I come to the conclusion that I will not support the substitute motion and support the original motion that's been made. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Jennings.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a very difficult decision. I've heard my colleagues. I will be supporting the substitute motion. I feel that we need the consistency that Howard has given us for the last 6 years, and not just 6 years as the city manager, but 22 years as a city employee, and has done excellent in every single job that he's ever done in his career. And we're going to need that as we look at a $77 million deficit, of someone that can help us with our negotiations, help us with everything that we're doing in public safety, with our housing, has helped us with the City Academy, I'm sorry, not City Academy, but with the county and city partnership on homelessness, has helped us in citywide incident management team, has helped us in every single thing that we've done, especially in the new patrol in District 7, and the extension of Delta Shores and Natomas. And you've just been a pillar in working with us, and I think that we need to continue that at least for a period of time. And then if in fact it's in the best interest for you to do something different, then that's a decision that you would make. But for me, I believe in the best interest of the city that you remain as our city manager for a period of time, if not for as long as you continue to do the excellent job that you've always done. So I believe that I will support the substitute motion and go for that reason.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from council members? Seeing none, I also want to address the council, the public, and our city manager. There's no perfect options before us. I will be supporting Councilmember Guerra's motion and not supporting the substitute motion. But just some perspective, as I think Councilmember Dickinson just alluded to, we're a new day in Sacramento, a new era for all of us. A new mayor, a third of us are brand new. It's our first day, and we didn't expect this would be the first item. I know you wouldn't expect infrastructure in North Sac and housing and bikeability in District 4, but the time chooses us. The moments choose us, and this is the issue before us here today. So it is a new era for the city, a transition, and also a new era for a transition of city management. And I often say this, and don't get mad when I say this down the road, but two things can be true here. We can focus on the new day, a new chapter in Sacramento, 8 years of a mayor, new mayor, and 8 years as a city manager. And I wanted to focus a few moments on our existing city manager. And I think this is extremely awkward moment, uncomfortable. I wouldn't want to be in this position up here as our city manager being judged in front of all of us. We're judged at the ballot box, but he has served us with distinction, like I said, in our campaign for 22 years. I met him 20 years ago as a young parking manager, come from the city of San Francisco, rose up to be the assistant city manager. And like our current mayor, we talked a lot about his tenure and what he went through. Same exact dates almost to our city manager. Going through a pandemic, huge impact on our public health, our economy, unemployment, mini recession, a massive spike in homelessness, the summer of 2020 and racial reckoning and civic unrest in our city, and we got through it. We had some ups and downs, but we're better off with the leadership of our city manager. But we also focus on the new day as well. Again, two things can be true. So I don't want us tonight to walk away and forget that piece, because there are two sides to every coin. And with that, we do have amazing city staff. We'll figure out the next chapter, what that looks like. And I'm grateful for this opportunity to serve with all of you. And we had a very pleasant 3-hour conversation. Nobody rose their voice. We had 9 different opinions, like I thought we would have. And, public has the right to share their opinions as well. But we will move forward as a city of Sacramento. And thank you for your comments and testimony tonight. And with that,
Mayor,
Madam Clerk, please call
Mayor, hold on. Mayor, hold on. I will remove my substitute motion. While I did go to law school, I can count to 10 and know that there are only 3 votes, so I won't make us go through that exercise. And if the seconder will agree to remove his second, we can just vote on the original motion.
Okay, substitute motion has been withdrawn. We are back to the original motion from Councilmember Garrett. Can you repeat the motion to make sure we have it all memorialized?
Point of order, Mr. Chair. The seconder has to give up
Oh,
their
I thought I heard that.
No, it's been too much conversation. I will remove it.
Thank you.
I will support, sir.
Thank you. I thought I heard that. I apologize, Councilmember Jennings. I thought I heard the withdrawal of the second of the substitute motion. With that, we have the main motion on the floor, which was made by Councilmember Guerra, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Talamantes. Just to make sure we have it memorialized correctly, Madam Clerk, can you please repeat this motion on the floor?
Thank you. The motion on the floor is a motion to reject the amendment to the employment agreement for the city manager extending its term to December 31st, 2025, and authorizing the mayor to execute the amended employment agreement for the city manager. The motion was by Councilmember Guerra and second by Mayor Pro Tem Talamantes.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Kaplan? No. Councilmember Dickinson?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Talamantes?
Yes.
Councilmember Pluckybaum? Vice Mayor Maple?
Aye.
Councilmember Guerra?
Aye.
Councilmember Jennings?
No.
Councilmember Vang?
Yes.
And Mayor McCarty?
Aye.
That motion passes.
Okay. Thank you. We'll now proceed to public comment on matters not on the agenda.
So we do have council comments, ideas, and questions. We'll do that after matters not on the
Yes.
agenda. Thank you.
Do we have any public comment for items not on the agenda?
I have 15 speakers for items not on the agenda.
15.
Lambert. I'm going to start calling up some names. If you'll exit quietly, it'd be appreciated. Lambert, then Michael Barnbaum, then Jeffrey Tartagia, then Sunrise. Is Lambert here? Come on up to the lectern, please.
Tonight, I would hope that everyone on this rostrum, including Mr. Chan, should pay attention. the Grant High School Pacers football team has done something in this city that hasn't been done. I don't think it's ever been done. Grant High School's football team had to go on the road 4 times to win the city, which was their three-peat. Then they had to go on the road to Stockton. I know because I went with them. In the rain, they won that game. Then the CIF, for some reason, sent them to Mountain View. And that was great because they got to see Google. And Google was born before they were. And that's all they've known is Google. So they went down there and won that game, and you figured, okay, they won those games, it's going to be in Sacramento. No, they sent them to Orange County, and they won that game, last second shot. This is what I think Grant High School Pacers should get. And this includes the drum line and the cheerleaders. Don't forget about them. They should get summer jobs. Nobody wants them to come down here and take photo ops. Give them summer jobs like you do these other people who don't win anything. Right now, Grant High School is the talk of California. And you know who's right behind them? To the Bay and Back Cheesecakes has gone viral in Northern California and Southern California, and we haven't heard anything from the city manager's office. We had to really hustle to get money to get there. And I'm glad to see Mr. Dickerson there because my elders voted for him years ago. Let's do something big, Mr. Dickerson, and make sure you do something for these young folks.
Thank you for your comments. Our next speaker is Michael Barnbaum, then Jeffrey Tardaguia, then Sunrise.
Yes, Councilmember Dickinson.
The photo op's not bad either, you know. It's okay. Jobs are...
first.
All right.
Thank you. Madam City Clerk. Welcome, Mr. Barnbaum.
Hello. Thank you. That's a tough one to follow on. Thank you. Congratulations to everyone in their election victory. Like I said, that it was a hard and emotional one for me to grasp, especially working over the last few months on with Dr. Flo and Team Flo volunteers, and working to make sure that Sacramento becomes a city where more is possible for all of its residents, regardless of what district they live in, what background they come from, or regardless of their economic status. Dr. Flo has been an inspiration to me the last several months, showing care, compassion, courage, character, kindness, and most importantly, love to every one of the people on her team. We continue to, as a team, discuss things in the chat, and one of the inspirational things that I've been given is now the opportunity to be involved in the city and become active on citizen boards and commissions, of which 3 interested me, and I put in electronic applications to the clerk's office through my iPhone. So I hope that these are going to be a good 4 years ahead, and I hope for some of the best opportunities and be involved here in the city at the citizen level. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Jeffrey Tardaguia, then Sunrise. Would you prefer the handheld mic?
We'll see if these work.
Perfect, thank you.
Well, we'll start with if Ty is saying to you guys is the next thing when you have closed sessions is a report come out of them. It said on there was supposed to be a report come back from closed session. To my knowledge, like everything else, it's never brought to the public's attention. It just sits there like so many other things on there. Next thing I'm going to talk about is public comment. Please, council, don't make it the last thing on the agenda. Put it up there after should we say, you have your start before you have your discussion. This is what you have the example of knowing at the RT board of what is done. This board needs to make these changes. They need to happen. As you've heard, and I've already brought up the discussion point, that half of your community here is not necessarily supporting the mayor. The mayor needs to work on something that gets rallying around the people to support him. Whatever that should be. I see him down to 40 seconds. What I will tell you also is, I believe you need to realize that on the county side, public health is about to be disbanded as a committee. You need to understand what that means for your resources. Like many other things, you need to understand that the whole Sacramento needs a speakers board to deal with the diversity. Phil, you should start with the voters registration. And I'm down to 10 seconds. I'm here because something didn't happen at the last meeting. It made me miss a meeting tonight to be here. I don't want to be in front of you guys.
Thank you for your comments.
Yes, you cut off.
Thank you, Mr. Tardigria.
Thank you for your comment. Your time is complete.
Madam City Attorney, just a quick point of clarification. So when we do report outside of closed session, that is when action is taken, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so just to clarify for the audience. Thank you.
Next speaker is Sunrise.
We made it. We're here at the end of the meeting. Public comment is really a process that is draining. It's hard for y'all up there, for us down here. It doesn't have to be this way. It could be a lot simpler. It used to be a lot simpler. We used to have remote public comment so that working families, so that young people, so that students across the city of Sacramento could make comment without having to drive to the central city, especially if they live in the outlying districts. Please bring back remote public comment. We have the ongoing threat of COVID-19. This is not a space where I see a single air purifier running in this room. We could do a lot better. We used to do a lot better. There was a time when Zoom was used for public comment. There was a time when phone calls were used for public comment. I've called into the San Diego Port Commission and left a voicemail public comment that was played during the meeting. It's so easy to do. We have so much technology available to us. Speaking of technology, I don't know when I'm on the list to give public comment. Clearly there is a list. Clearly there's a queue. Could we make that maybe visible to everyone in the room of who's speaking when, so we can maybe take bathroom breaks and not worry about missing our time to give public comment? Yeah, so many simple changes that can make this process so much better for everyone. Thank you.
Your comments? Flo Kofer, Christina Rogers, Mac Worthy, then Keon Bliss. I'll keep going. Keon Bliss, Henry Harry, Jimmy Anderson.
Welcome, Dr. Kofer.
Well, good evening. This is a little awkward because I'd hoped to do this last week during public comment for items not on the agenda, but I was able to find all of you after the meeting and share with you a mug that says "More is possible for Sacramento." That is I think transitions are important. And we did have a very spirited campaign for mayor, and so I did not want to be like our president-elect and not acknowledge what had happened and also not wish well to the future, because I firmly believe that your success is our success. And so I am excited about what you're going to do. I am looking forward to being a partner and a resource to you in any way that I can be, because it is incredibly important that we work together in this city to make sure we get the outcomes that we want. And especially with the looming Trump administration, I think it's incredibly important that we are working together to guard Sacramento, to make sure that the things that we enjoy here, the love that we have for one another, is continued and that we're leading with love. And so I did share these with most of you last week. I unfortunately was not able to get to Councilmember Vang, so I just wanted to publicly say I am wishing you all well. I am here in partnership. I am still in public health and epidemiologist. I still retain all of the documents from Measure U. If there's anything that you want to talk about, if there are things that your office is working on that you need help with, my help is true and genuine because I care about this place. My love did not start with my run for mayor, and it does not end there. And I'm excited, and I'm wishing Mayor McCarty very well because, like I said, your success is our success. Thank you.
Next speaker is Christina Rogers. If you want to give it to the clerk, we'll bring it around.
Oh, is that mine?
Yes, that's yours. I was like, I don't know.
So Christina, then Mac Worthy, then Keon Bliss.
Hi, I want to talk about another subject that's going to be coming up for you guys, and that's the casino and the rail yards that you're talking about. I just want to give my opinion on it. Yes, the city needs to generate revenue, but we also need to consider what kind of city that we're going to be. Consider the clientele who keeps certain businesses going: vape shops, massage parlors, cannabis dispensaries, and large casinos. Wondering if these are family friendly, if they actually are, open to everybody. Businesses that feed addictions bring more addictions. I know this personally because I grew up in Lake Tahoe. I worked in the casinos, and it certainly was exciting. But during the slow periods, the people who keep those casinos going are the addicts. They're the ones who really couldn't afford to gamble either. Retired fixed income folks were bussed up to spend their monthly checks on the slots. Addicts who get off work and spend their rent money. So can Sacramento think of something better? You have the X Games you've just signed on, which is great. You got a soccer stadium coming. I'm sure there's more conventions that you can consider. Also, how do other successful cities our size look? Please consider what you want our city to look like 20 years from now. Businesses that support addictive behavior tend to break their promises over time. So are we going to have Biff's Casino from Back to the Future, or a clean, fun, welcoming city for all ages and incomes? That's it. Thanks.
Thank you for your comments. Mac Worthy, then Keon Bliss, then Henry Harry.
This goes to the trash pickup. Now, that truck that loads the trash from all the way to J Street, all the way across to Franklin Boulevard, the number on that truck is 14263 and never done nothing. That's not a Jolly Ride truck. When was our sidewalks swept in Oak Park? Utilize some of that money. Now, you're noticing to file a complaint on this, it costs you $600-some. Now, if you go through in a law firm, it's not a business, that's an entity. Want that understood here. Now, when we look at business, my business for 59 years here, don't worry about the $76 million deficit. From Washington, D.C. here, the nonprofit organization, which is a parasite, keeps America going. Understand that. America's a parasite. That's what Donald Trump's going to change those laws, that you hide that money, and when the people come across the border, you house them. That's what it's about. Wake up. Teach the people business. How many of you run a business that had a payroll? None of you. That's your problem. Understand business. Free enterprise. You come here, a leader, you was not selected a leader, you was voted in as a representative. That's all the way to Washington, D.C. Talk to people. I come here because I experienced the 59 years enterprise, elected California cities. Who was the lobbyist for your past mayor and your mayor here now, elected California cities? We know that. Now, League California cities may go down to 2 because some people here that affiliated that with it. That money or housing could have been from the people here instead of redevelopers.
Your comments. I have 8 more speakers: Keon Bliss, Henry Harry, Jimmy Anderson.
Wow. I have to say thank you to you all, City Council, for the vigorous debate, as well as just the honest follow-through, the authenticity that many of you displayed on here. You proved me wrong, and I really appreciate it when when we see a council and our elected representatives really listen to community input. I really hope that that trend continues. There are a lot of big issues that we are dealing with, particularly the culture of impunity and anti-blackness and racism that we've been dealing with in this city for far too long. It is a culture that permeates from the top down. I am personally attest to that from my experiences on the Police Review Commission, and Sacramento residents more particularly have experienced it. We are living in a city where black residents are 3 to 4 times more likely to be homeless. and indigenous people are 5 to 6 times more likely, despite being less than 14% of the population together. And we also live in a city where our police department uses force at least 4.5 times more often against black residents than every other demographic. 6 times more often for non-traffic stops, 3 times more often to make regular traffic stops, and then nearly 3 times more likely to make searches on black residents. This culture needs to be confronted, and some of you have already begun that with mandatory diversity training, but a lot more is needed. You now have a racial equity initiative that has been put into place, and that needs binding and consistent follow-through to really make sure that we can repair the damage. Because right now, we're starting at a deficit not just in money, but also in trust.
Thank you for your comments. Your time is complete. Thank you for your comments. Your time is complete. Henry Harry, Jimmy Anderson, then L.R. Roberts.
Thank you, Council. I'll share with you an old saying that politics is the art of the possible. So I've communicated with this council a few times asking for a resolution on reparations. On December 3rd, the audience was happy when you passed a resolution on that matter, but it was nothing to celebrate. The resolution only told the city manager to continue developing what Mayor Steinberg has started. With no direction or mandates, blacks are being told again to hurry up and wait. So it is unacceptable to have the fate of the black community sitting in limbo, hoping that a man outside that community cares enough to do what's best for us. So I'm asking this council to amend your resolution and direct City Manager Chan to do several things. 1, create an interactive website which will be a single well of information around the concepts and challenges of reparations while fostering comments and discussions from black Sacramentans. Establish meeting spaces so non-paid African Americans can hammer out proposals in a set time frame around issues of cash payment, land and housing grants, and what qualifies someone for reparation. Next, identify all city land and facilities and resources for use in reparations. Lastly, you should create an envoy to coordinate all of this stuff. Pick a citizen from the city, from the community, to do that. And in the spirit of cooperation, maybe, just maybe, Dr. Flo might be available to fill that position for a while in transition. So, last 8 seconds. We got a lot of stuff on our plate, a lot of people hoping that this city can pull its act together.
Thank you for your comments. Our next speaker is Jimmy Anderson, then L.R. Roberts.
Hello, I'm speaking to all you guys. I was here on the last council of speaking on the policy of this project of a transparency department that can help to communicate from the public to you guys. California only allows you guys only have to release video when someone dies under the hands of the police. I'm an activist. I go out there and I film police. I have been arrested and I beat the case, got it thrown out in court. And city attorney, better be ready. Because I need to show that the police cannot have all the power, the city council can't have all the power, and going on other stuff around the city is over on Florin Road. You guys just completed a project. Speaking of how much money you guys are in debt, you guys just redid the whole Florin Road, and you guys decided to add more lights, creating more traffic. I leave at work at 4 a.m. I start work at 4 a.m., leave for about 3, so I can be there on time to be a great worker. But I have to sit at a traffic light that you guys just put in. Hey, how about you guys stop talking? Hey, hello? Hey, hello? Hello? New manager, or new mayor. You want to act like one? Hello? Hello? Tick, tock, tick, see? Look, this is so, like, come on. Hello? 90 days of listening, huh? Hello? All right, of course you guys are going to be new city managers kissing ass, trying to put himself back in this place. He's got to pull down his pants first, maybe show us where he's kissing ass. So again, just creating a program where I can send a video to you guys and show how terrible the city is doing, how terrible the police department is doing and wanting to violate people's rights, and just saying we're putting up crime scene tape just to push you guys back.
Our next speaker is L.R. Roberts, then Carolina Flores, then Drew. I have 5 more speakers this evening.
Hi, I'm L.R. Roberts. I'm here to support the Benito Juarez agenda on homelessness. I'm originally from Roswell, where our biggest city nearby was Juarez in Mexico. I was a small business owner in Oak Park where I did have a payroll. The Community Dinner Project has fed people every Tuesday since Occupy. Thanks to Katie Maple, my city council person, we have stopped being hassled by staff people at the direction of a certain person. Our city and county are over-influenced by big real estate interests. I certainly ran into that when I ran for District 5 City Council. Citizens are shocked when I tell them that homeless people's IDs are thrown away by cops, that their birth certificates are thrown away, their medical records, their baby pictures, their clothes, their blankets, their tents. Every time I tell somebody that story, they're absolutely shocked. No matter what their position is on homeless, they're shocked by that. Rents should not be skyrocketing. Housing should not be owned by out-of-country corporations. I am getting a letter every day, and apparently friends of mine that I went to high school with in Oklahoma are too. It's really strange. We're getting letters or postcards every day from these strange corporations wanting to buy our houses. I'm not selling my house. I have a black grandchild that it's going to. I'm not selling my house. Why are these people constantly trying to buy up our houses? There's a lack of access to mental health care. There's many homeless people on my street. Until about 3 years ago, I usually take them in, sometimes six at once. And almost in every case, there's a need of mental health care, and we're not spending money on that. We're having shootings in Oak Park, but it's not, I don't think it's homeless people. We've had several shootings like a block from me, but it's not homeless people, so that's not actually one of the problems. So we've got to do something better than we're doing on the homeless issue. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Carolina Flores, and then Drew, then Samantha Stringer.
Get off the phone, city manager.
Knock it off. This is a bilingual message, 2 minutes Spanish, 2 minutes English. Aquí estoy, representante, directora de comunicación de la Asociación de Benito Juárez. ¿Te gusta que estoy hablando en español? Bueno, lo que quiero decir es que ya pusimos un propósito y una carta de 2. Es más, están insultando ustedes 2 en no oír lo que estoy diciendo. Yo quiero que ustedes entiendan, ya hay solución de programas para los homeless, para la gente sin hogar, sin vivienda. Yo le mandé una carta la semana pasada, cuando no tuvieron la agenda, y expliqué que hay 3 programas nacionales que tienen población 0 de veteranos, 0 de homeless. Ellos han puesto 25,000 homeless en vivienda permanente, no de 30 días, no de 3 meses, permanente. En el Houston, Texas, han podido declarar que no tienen homeless veterans. En Salt Lake City han podido bajar bastante el número de gente que están sin hogar y sin vivienda. Y en Los Ángeles lo hicieron, ¿sabe cómo lo hicieron? La gente hizo, los habitantes. Ellos son, no fue el gobierno o el City Council, nada. La gente de Los Ángeles pusieron casas para las homeless. Y así quitaron a los homeless. Y eso es con gente que tiene menos dinero que nosotros. ¿Por qué nosotros no hemos hecho nada para los homeless? Yo les quiero decir que cuando estamos dando algo a la gente, le damos a Sheriff's Office $30 millones. ¿Para qué? Él pide otra más que 200,000. Yo le digo a Howard Chan, muchas gracias cuando nos ayudó, tuvimos talleres de desempleo de hispanos que aquí no emplean en Sacramento. Pero en ese tiempo yo no siento que es bueno de darle tanto dinero. ¿Por qué? Lo que necesitamos hacer es poner atención en cómo otros programas han sido un éxito. Otros programas han podido cuidar a la gente sin hogar. Otras tienen familias enteras que ahora están en su propia casa. Nosotros lo podemos hacer. La gente lo hizo sin ninguno de ustedes, sin ningún concilio. Y eso es importante.
Inglés ahorita. Ya 2 minutos por tu español.
Okay. It says I only did 138 still.
You went on to your next, that was for your next round of 2.
Oh, no, yo debo tener 2 minutos en
Estoy
inglés.
mirando 2 minutos en inglés y español.
You are violating my civil rights and not giving me 2 minutes.
You get 2.
You didn't tell me when the Spanish time was
Okay.
over
Next
and
time
I
we'll do
started
that.
the English.
Next time we'll do that.
There is no next time.
So,
I will let the people know.
Ms.
This is a
Flores, I just
violation
put
of the
4
Brown
minutes
Act
on your
of
clock
allowing
to
me
start.
speak in testimony. I gave you all a letter from Benito Juarez Association. I am Director of Communications of Benito Juarez Association in District 2, which is 42% Latinos, family, campesinos, indigenous people. We call California resident immigrants. And these people are very much involved in wanting to be in civic engagement. Where's the speakers where they translate on the headphones what's going on? Where are the Latino, how many Latino representatives do you have in your staff? How many Spanish speakers do you have in your staff? We are going to be 50% of the population pretty soon. How are all of you preparing for that? How are you instilling measurable outcomes that you're going to take care of the Latino population? You're going to take care of the Spanish-speaking population. Show me what you can do in 30 days. Show me what you can do in 6 months, in a year. What are your measurable objectives in taking care of the Latinos? We have a homeless issue and a hunger issue. In the Benito Juarez Association, every Thursday we give a food drive. And in that food drive used to be from 4:30 until 8. Now that food drive starts at 5. And by 6 o'clock, all the food is gone. And the campesino families are still lined up on the driveway trying to. And why did that happen? Because they closed 2 food closets in that area. So
Thank you for your comments. Your time is complete. Thank you, Ms. Flores. Our next speaker is Drew, then Samantha Stringer, then Wendell Brown.
can I say something for like 1 minute?
No, ma'am. I'm sorry. Your time is complete.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Drew, Samantha, then Wendell. I'm not seeing Drew. Samantha Stringer. And following Samantha is Wendell Brown.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for your vote. I'm Samantha Stringer, and I'm a resident of Sacramento. I have lived here just about my entire life, and I really enjoy the city. But I would like to bring attention to you all, just the same issue that's been discussed almost the whole meeting, but it's still that important, and it is our homelessness crisis. A lot of people have already brought up signatures and graphs and figures, or like brought up all sorts of statistics to support why we're in a crisis. All you have to do is go outside these doors. I drove here, and just upon driving into the downtown Sacramento area, I saw 15 to 20 homeless people. And not only that, I think it's important to mention that I am a mental health professional, and I work with a lot of homeless clients, and especially those who have schizophrenia or other psychotic disorders, as well as substance abuse disorders and problems with drug use. I think that it's so important going forward that we treat these people with dignity and respect, and we find solutions that both keep our community safe, but also treat these people with the basic dignity and respect they need and giving them their basic human rights. I think it's important. I am concerned about increasing the police budget, and that police are going to be used to treat homeless, basically punish people for being poor. And that's the thing. A lot of people can look at homeless people and say, oh, well, they're addicted to drugs, they're refusing to stay sober, or they've got all these problems going on. But I think it's also important to look at the systemic problems that are going on. We have increasing rent prices, as many people have pointed out. We have a growing gap between the haves and the have-nots in our country as a whole. And I think we need to really take these things into consideration when we consider this homeless crisis going forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comments. Wendell Brown.
My name is Wendell Brown, a recently retired city employee who was honored with a retirement acknowledgement here in March. While I left, I felt then in March very appreciated. Then the proposed ERG draft policy has left me disheartened. It states that retired city employees cannot participate, undermining my 38 years of service. As a founding member of the AAELC resource or employee resource group, I have been deeply involved in advancing diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts, including the diversity, equity audit, recruitment for key leadership roles, diversity manager, chief of police, restoring the Black History Appreciation event, addressing inequities in job classification compensations, minority leadership promotions. The ERD draft policy is troubling, particularly the contradiction between its stated benefits, such as fostering inclusivity and building trust, and its restrictions, which stifles advocacy and limits effectiveness. This inconsistency undermines the mission of ERGs. Despite feeling momentarily let down by the city, I remain committed to supporting inclusive practices. While I cherish my connection to the city and its employees, I will not hesitate to use media platforms to advocate for inclusivity if barred from contributing to the AAELC. And I'd like to speak to the racial equity resolution that you guys passed. You know, there was a resolution passed called, it was the treatment of staff, and that was supposed to have been disseminated throughout.
Thank you for your comments. Your time is complete. Mayor, I have no more speakers.
Thank you. That concludes the public comment for tonight's council hearing on the 17th of December. We have now questions, announcements, and AB 1234 reports from council members, starting with Council Member Kaplan.
As we enter the holiday season, I want to wish our employees and our staff happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. But I want to spend my time tonight thanking Howard Chan. You've given 22 years to the city. I don't like how tonight ended up. I think you deserve better. Sometimes politics gets in the way of doing what is right by a human being and valuing their service to our city, valuing the enormous amount of time, energy that you have contributed to the detriment of not going to all of your kids' stuff while they were still in high school and middle school because you put our city first. You deserve a thank you. You deserve a public thank you now, right now. I have known you for over 20 years. And let me tell you, we were not on the same side when we first met. We were battling school to school and a lot of disagreement, and it was probably over the Brown Act too, and how Westlake Charter was running. But we have grown over the years. I've watched you grow. This has not been an easy time for you. But I think in ending your time and what that looks like with the city and whatever you decide is next, it deserves a public thank you in front of a majority of your staff who support you, who work under you, who you've hired, who you've brought up, and you look at the diversity and equity of who we have in our city leadership. And that is under you because you do the day-to-day operations. So I want to publicly thank you for putting Sacramento first, no matter if we agree or disagree. In your heart, you thought you were doing and running the day-to-day what was good for Sacramento. And that's a majority of your job is the day-to-day functioning that people do not see. And so I felt it important that your staff here, I thank him for that service. And we could have done better. This is not the graceful landing you deserved. And so thank you, Howard. Thank you for your service. Thank you for 22 years. And I want us to all as a council do better for all of our other employees.
Thank you. Councilmember Guerra.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I have a 1, 2, 3, 4 report. On the last, what was the day? The Thursday and Friday of last week, I traveled to the California Foundation on Environment and the Economy to discuss the city's water policy. I do want to thank all the city staff who brought up all the great experience and the work that's been done on water policy, and also during that conference advocated to the new crop of legislators about how the city of Sacramento has led on water policy, and also how those Prop 4 dollars should be could be best allocated if they came to the city of Sacramento. So wanted to put that as my 1, 2, 3, 4 report, but also for the next year's Law and Legislation Committee to start looking at Prop 4 early on, because the early budget allocations for Prop 4 are going to start going through the budget process, and between Sacramento ARC and the other water projects that we have, we could definitely benefit from those. So that's my 1, 2, 3, 4 report. AB 1, 2, 3, 4 report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Dickinson?
I know we're all in the midst of holiday parties and events, but one in particular, I just wanted to take a moment to mention what is coming up Saturday at 2:30 to 4:30 at Chando's Tacos on Arden Way. And what makes this special is it's a celebration of Chando's at that location in particular, hosted by the North Sacramento Chamber of Commerce and the Del Paso Boulevard PBID. But as some of you may know, it was the site of a robbery a few weeks ago with one of the employees there injured seriously in the carrying out of that robbery. And so the community is coming together, wants to support not just Chando's, but make a statement that it's not just a great place to eat for those of you who've had the joy of enjoying Chando's, but it's an institution for us in North Sacramento. So please come join us.
Thank you. No further comments or questions from council members. With that, this concludes the 2024 year of the council. Have a happy holiday, everybody, and we'll see you back in 2025. We're adjourned.